It's called a Necker cube. And if you stare at it and it's drawn well enough, you find your perspective flicking back and forth between two different ways of looking at the cube. You either see one face at the front, one other face at the front.
Morning, Professor.
Sorry. Never trust an Irishman for directions.
So that's what I'm going to try and extend. I'm going to try and show a different face of a Necker cube, different way of looking at things that isn't necessarily more correct than the ways that people look at now. But it hopefully will shed a little light on things. I think it can well do. Now, obviously, I'm going to be talking about evolution because I mentioned the Watchmaker. So I'm going to start off with a very broad question, which is, how do we get complexity? Where does it come from? Now, that's one of the main questions that whenever we deal with theists or creationists, they say, there's too much complexity there. It's got to come in from somewhere. And the answer is actually very simple. It's quite simple physics. Here's some random rubbish. Okay, it could be over millimeters or it could be over light years. And there's one way that we get complexity, and it's due to gravity. Gravity is an amazing producer of complexity because what it does is any slight variation in that, it will drag things together. So you end up with clumps. And when you have clumps like that, obviously you've got space around them for disorder to appear into. Like those things could be shuffled about to occupy that space around there. So gravity is one of the great forces that produces complexity. There's another way that we can get complexity, and it's because the universe is expanding. Or a better way to put this would be, how do we get the possibility for there to be more disorder than we already have? I'll come on to why that matters in a second. Imagine you have a jar and it's full of gas. I'm not making sense at any point. I would just say, shut up and explain. Now, you've left that gas there and it's completely random. It's all jiggling about. It's completely gone to all of the... nothing more interesting can happen there. But if you take that jar, put it in a bigger jar, and then dissolve the glass, what can happen? That gas can expand out into even more space. You've got more possibilities for things to happen. Now, it's not quite that simple with the universe, but in principle it's the same kind of thing. I'm sure Oystein will jump up and say, shut up, if I make any big mistakes here. But one of the reasons is you can always get more complexity, more disorder in an expanding universe, because you're always allowing for more space for disorder to happen in. So it turns out that in the universe where we live, you don't need any magic source of complexity. You can start off with something extremely simple, and just these two forces alone, gravity and the expansion of the universe, either one of them will do the job of giving you the possibility to get to go from a situation that's disordered to a situation that's potentially even more disordered. Now, what I'm going to come on to next